Welcome to HW Hockey.
What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Radio, episode 2 of season 7. I'm your host, Jim Iacovone, joined as always by the one and only and proud father of now 2, Jack Smith. Jack, congratulations. Jack just had his second child. Well, I'll let you tell it, Jack.
Hey, it was my pleasure. Yes. 2 baby boys. He was born on the 16th. That came out of nowhere. It's 9 days early. 8 pounds, 8 ounces, 88. Sounds like a Flyers fan already. I love it.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Now a beautiful family of 4. Really excited to add a new member to not just the HW hockey family, but the Flyers family, I would say, right?
Damn right. Damn right. They are definitely not located in Bitchville. That's for sure.
That was the first comment in there. Where the hell was that? I'm assuming this is in reference to Kolosov, who we're not going to talk about at all tonight. Just kidding. That's going to be one of the primo discussion topics. But I wanted to congratulate you at top of the show. This way, maybe some of the viewers can catch that, and also wish you or let you know congratulations on the sex. So great job, Jack. If you're catching us live on YouTube, make sure to smash, no pun intended, smash that subscribe button, hit the alert so you never miss a show. And for all you podcast listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you're the first in line when the newest episodes drop. Jack, tell us a little bit about Fans of Philly.
Fans of Philly. All right. Flyers fans, we've got something special for you today. Looking to take your game day experience to the next level? Look no further than Fans of Philly. With over 14 years of experience, they're the go-to team for putting together unforgettable travel packages for die-hard Philly sports fans.
Why Fans of Philly, you ask? Let me break it down for you guys. They've spent years building the best relationships with bars, hotels, teams, transportation, you name it. Every trip they plan gets better, and trust me, they'll make sure your experience is top-notch.
That's right, Jim. Whether it's scouting out the perfect hotel, finding the hottest nightlife, or securing the best seats in the arena, Fans of Philly has it all figured out. They know how to make your trip an absolute blast. So head on over to fansofphilly.com. That's PH for fansofphilly.com, and book your next Flyers road trip today.
There you go. Okay, boys and girls, it's here. The Flyers season is upon us. The training camp officially starts tomorrow. I guess it's now known as skate day. So while training camp, officially starts tomorrow, I feel like it really doesn't start till Friday because they're just going to be skating the hell out of each other tomorrow, which, it sucks for everybody involved, I guess, really, except for John Tortorella. It sucks for the players. Sucks for the the media that has to go there and cover this first day of camp and practice, but it's here. Camp starts tomorrow. It's officially hockey season, and so I would like to eventually get into. Well, let's get into that first, right? So our topics are in the episode title tonight. You know what's coming. We're showing you our pitches, showing you our hand. We're talking camp. We're talking Kolosov. We're going to have an interesting discussion later on in the episode. You're not going to want to miss that. And we're going to talk rookie series. I got to watch Michkov live. Jack got to watch him on TV. We're going to talk Luchanko. And we want to talk a little Spencer Gill. And maybe if we have time to sneak some other guys in, we will. But let's talk camp, Jack. And, what do you want to see? Real quick, I thought was interesting. They did like that whole little yearbook thing. Right, which I thought was cool. It's cute and whatever. It's funny. They had some funny stuff in there. They did some nerdy pictures. Hunter McDonald was in there, Jack. What do you make of that?
I think he skips camp because he's clearly made the team. I mean, Jesus, he's only our best prospect since Michkov. Like it's incredible how much they're ramming him down our throats. That being said, you mentioned some names for the rookie games. This guy really wanted to kill somebody. Like I was a big fan of Hunter McDonald. For a lot of it was like, oh, here we go. It's only a rookie game, so there's no expectations, and it's like Well, they're talking him up a lot. Let's see what he's about. And he was laying people out and taking hits himself and trying to start fights, and exactly what he was kind of drummed up to be. So that was good to see. Flyers need guys like that at the end of the day. And he is definitely a different player from the other McDonald, just based on what I saw. So all he needed was one game. He wasn't floating on the ice, doing starfish, goofy shit. He was where he was supposed to be. Did take some penalties, but that's going to come with that style of player. So do I think he's made the team already? That's outrageous. So everything we've been seeing with the organizations, particularly the front office, not surprised he's already in the yearbook or whatever the hell that photo, first day of school photos was, or whatever the hell.
That was really interesting, wasn't it? And if you like to read into things, it's certainly something. He was the only, at least to my memory, rookie in there. I didn't even see Michkov in that part of the yearbook thing. So it was interesting. Now, maybe they tried to sneak that in to stir up some speculation. Who knows? My first thought was, is Ristolainen fully healthy? Are we doing this already? You know, are they getting us ready for the Risto replacement? We'll see. And that kind of leads into this, Jack. Like, are we going to see position battles, right? Is the Flyers roster pretty much set? Is it set? Let's talk forwards first. Do you see any positioning battles happening with forwards? Or is there anybody that's going to make the team or push to make the team in camp? And, you know, for example, could we see a Joel Farabee who, you know, we can argue where we think he's going to be in the lineup, but let's just say for the sake of this segment, he starts out on the third line. Could we see him push for a top 6 line role, you know?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If God forbid you have some chemistry with Michkov or something like that. Yeah, I just want to see these guys show up and give it everything they got, really, especially a guy like Farabee who finished the season last year so terribly. You think you'd want to rest, recuperate, and give it all you got and prove your worth again. I can't see any rookies. I know there's a lot of talk right now about Jett Luchanko. I just think he's ultimately too young. I don't think it's crazy. Some people think it's crazy. If he were to get some kind of trial, I don't think that's that bad. But no matter what happens, he's going back to juniors. Like I don't. He's had to score like a hat trick every game for them to be like, yeah, that's it. He's our center. Like we're gonna bump for, you know, he's gonna be a third line center or something like that. There's no way. I don't see that. I think his body still needs to develop. I was very impressed with him in the rookie game. But as far as actually bumping somebody off the roster and making the team, they don't have the room. Like even if he was a little bit older and been in the system a little bit longer, like who's next on that forwarding? The forward depths, like Tuamalo, maybe, but who's he knocking out? Like Brink would have to have a horrific preseason. It flat out have to be an injury. I can't see anybody getting bumped. It's within the team, and it's maybe what line and what players they're playing with at most. At least when it comes to the forwards, I can't see anybody else even making any kind of remote noise. It just doesn't make sense. There's no room there. One of the reasons I had hoped there'd be a little more movement this offseason, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And I would agree. I would say it's a safe bet to say the forward group is, you might as well lock it in. Right. The 12 forwards that we expect to be on the team, you know, barring an injury, those are going to be the forwards. The defense. Okay. So obviously we have Sanheim, we have York, we have Drysdale, we have Sealer, and we have Zamula. Is Ristolainen healthy? That's one I would like to see to believe. You know, not that I'm saying that he's not, but we just haven't seen or heard from him, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But let's just say for this argument that it is Zamula and Risto on the bottom pair. We have a player like Emil Andre, who was knocking on the door last camp, and we have an Eric Johnson who we assumes the 7th D. That's already 7D on the roster. Can Emil Andre play his way onto the roster in this camp? I don't know. Like, I mean, how does that even happen? And now you have to factor in, like you said, Hunter McDonald is apparently in the picture. You know, the Flyers have a lot of, you know, potentially second pair defensemen. And then you add in guys like Helge Grans. You know, like where does he fit? Is he a third pair guy? You know, we're hearing a lot more about Hunter McDonald than we are about Helge Grans, which I get it. He's a newer pick. He's actually a pick of the Flyers, where Gronz was traded for. I'm curious to see how that works. And if you're a player trying to make this Flyers team and you see all the positions basically locked up, does that discourage you at all, Jack? Remember we were talking about this in the past, let these guys fight it out for spots, let them earn their way onto the team. If there's not really a spot to make, does that take away any of the grit or the fight, you think?
At the end of the day, I shouldn't. However, I do think there's a difference for players like Hellsgrons or McDonald or Emil Andre. I think they can look at it with a glass half full. I'm still young. I'm not quite ready yet. I want to give this team a reason to have an interesting, some interesting questions. It's really tough questions they have to answer. It's like, well, we're stuck with these guys who aren't a part of our future right now. And these guys ready to knock on the door. We want to get them acclimated with the NHL. They're clearly ready. So we got to do something. Which again, with this past offseason, hoping for a little more movement. However, that doesn't mean you can't do anything during the season up until the trade deadline. So you kind of want to force that team's hand. But ultimately, there's going to be injuries. However, on the flip side to what you're saying, I think for players like Adam Ginning and even Ronnie Attard, clock is about to strike midnight. And now you got these, and this is what I always say this, like when you don't quite get there or make it, but you're kind of, you're teetering, your clock is going because the guys beneath you, they're going to pass you. And I think that's what we're going to start to see this year. It looks like Ginning, who shockingly signed a 2-year deal to stay in the Flyers organization. We almost thought he was for sure going back home. Where's he from? Finland or something? I forget.
Yeah.
But even he signing that deal is almost looking like he's going to impress in camp. Would not be surprised if he's moved to another team. Flyers are probably more than happy to oblige. Maybe get a little something back, nothing crazy. Help the guy out because he wants to continue his NHL deal. So he's going to be motivated to play well. But a guy like Attard, it's like, I think we know what we have in this guy. He's probably an AHL guy who occasionally gets called up. We'll see.
Yeah.
They can surprise you, but this is his absolute last year, and there's a lot of pressure now. Because going into next year, I think you're going to see Bonk start to make a push, and the team's going to want him to make a push, and God knows what else they bring in. So it's an interesting year. The number one guy I can see really pushing and causing them fits, or they're going to have to talk internally about who they can move, you would hope is Andre. Man, McDonald, they want that to happen. And it does make sense being on your bottom pair. But I don't know. I don't see that happening right away. He still takes too many penalties. There's plenty of things I think he has to learn besides how to hit people. I could see him definitely coming up later in the year. But no matter what, there's going to be injuries. So you can't have that mindset of, everything's taken. What do I do? It's hockey. These guys get hurt, and they get hurt often. Just show up every day, put in the work, earn it, prove it, pay your dues, and you'll get called up. You'll already have a great rapport with the organization and the front office. Then when it is your time, you'll have all the backing in the world. Not whine, stomp your feet, and take your ball and go home, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we're definitely going to get to that. You bring up a good point on Ronnie Attard. Like he's not young anymore. Like he's older than, I think, Morgan Frost, or if not the same age. He's 25 years old. Let's see if Puckpedia has his birthday. March 20th, he'll be 26. I mean, like that's like baseball prospect age right there, right? Like that's.
Well, I mean, Farabee's 23. Like, it's like I know he was drafted. I want to say 2018, or I'm sorry, 19. It was Fletcher's first year, but he was an overager, so he's already a year older. So, I mean, it's a combination of his age, how many times the organization has given an opportunity to knock on the door, but also the guys beneath him coming up, and they got higher ceilings. Like they're going to want to see them before they see him. You're going to be organizational depth real quick if you don't figure it out. And there is a spot for guys like that, but if your dream is to be an NHL regular, it's shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, I would agree. And maybe it's going to be an interesting year to really kind of pay attention to the Phantoms, because like we've seen it, like especially on defense, like it's very rare that the entire core stays healthy for the whole season, right? Like Jamie Drysdale's coming into this season off of off-season surgery, and Ristolainen, do you remember if they said that he actually had the surgery, Jack. Like, I think he missed all of last year because he was trying to put the surgery off, and then as soon as the season finished, he got it. Is that correct? Do you remember?
I would not put my money. I wouldn't put my money on it, but I'm almost positive that is what happened. Or gun to my
Okay.
head, I can't answer their question, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened because that's
Yeah.
pretty commonplace with these guys. I know they wanted to hold off on it. They was hoping he can come back before the playoffs, which they didn't make. And then he off season he probably said screw it. But I feel like it's been really hush hush on Ristolainen, which is very strange.
Yeah. So, I mean, already right there, you have two guys coming in, getting over injuries or off-season surgeries. Nick Sealer's a shot blocking machine. So you hate to say it, but all it takes is one shot, in the wrong spot. That's an injury waiting to happen. Knock on wood, we hope it doesn't. Zamula's, plays a very sound game, but, anything could happen. But I just named three guys right there who, two are coming into camp off of injuries and the other guy's blocking 5-6 shots a night. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? It's good that they're deep, for sure. Like with Grans, Addard, McDonald, you name Jinning, and Andre. I mean, that's 6 guys right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. I know how to count. That's 5 guys right there that, could challenge for a roster spot if it's available. So that's something to watch for.
Should be
If we move to goaltending, it's basically locked in. Sam Ersson, Ivan Fedotov. That's your 1-2 punch there. And I guess,
they never ever get hurt or have injuries or need breaks. So there's no need to have anybody else ready to strike for the opportunity.
That's it. So let's kind of try to talk about how, this season could play out for these guys. Because, I mean, if we're going to talk about goaltending and how we think starts are going to be split, this is the episode to do it, right? So, just to recap Sam Ersson's last year, had a pretty solid year. Didn't go into the season thinking he was going to be the starting goaltender. I don't think he was prepared to play the amount of games, take on the amount of work that he took on. Played exceptionally well for most of the season. Obviously, towards the end, when the Flyers they found out they couldn't rely on Cal Peterson. Then they have another guy that they were popping up in there. Sandstrom, my boy. They figured out they couldn't count on those guys. They were playing Ersson every single night. Fedotov basically came over here as an emergency. They threw some pads on him, and long story short, Ersson burned out. So I think heading into this season, Jack, for Ersson, knowing that he's the likely starting goaltender, he's got the confidence of the organization. I think he comes in and has a really good year this year as the Flyers number 1. I think we're looking at, 45 to 55 games for Ersson. And hopefully Fedotov can provide, steady backup goaltending to make sure he gets the rest when he needs it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it might be slightly less than that. Hopefully not. I believe he started 49 games last year and played in a total of 51. Which is a lot for a young guy. I do think he's going to start off the season a little slow. He tends to do that, but then he picks it up. All I'm looking for Fedotov to do, besides prove in his own right, he's an NHL goalie if he is, but really is to break up those starts, not have it be, 30 starts the first half of the season. 20 starts the first half of the season and then 35 the second half, like with so many multiple games in a row and back-to-backs on road trips and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's more of a steady flow. And, just see what we got. Because there were times where Ersson looked really good. Looked like he could play a low-scoring affair, but also could play a high-scoring affair where he has to outlast the other goalie. I've seen him do both. I've seen him have shutouts and blowouts and shutouts in a 1-0 game. So, it looks like he's an all-situations goalie in that regards if he can just stay consistent. And it's understandable why he wasn't consistent last year. We all know that. But you couldn't help but have a little bit of doubt in the back of your mind. Most of that is just with the unluckiness we've had at the position for pretty much just Bernie Braun. There's going to be a lot of question marks this year. Fedotov as well. Hefty price he's got on. They brought him over. They're using some of that in some other conversations, but nevertheless, $3 million and change is $3 million and change. I hope he is something. He was awfully good in the KHL. Even if he doesn't wind up long-term as a Flyer, he could be a possible trade chip down the road or something like that. So ultimately, we want to see these guys play well. And if they do, I think you're looking at a team knocking on it's definitely in the playoff bubble, but like the real playoff bubble where they're 1 or 2 out of a playoff spot, depending on what some of these other teams do. And Michkov, the whole Michkov thing, I know we're not going to talk about that tonight, But as far as how important the goaltending is, it's could be make or break. I think if they both were to falter, you're looking at a top 10, top 5 pick, and it's falter bad, and there's nobody ready to take over. But if they're both very good, or at least one of them is, they could be in the playoffs. It's not that crazy. They were almost there last year. Then we know they're going to have a better power play, Jim, even if it's 1%, 2%. They had that, and that's all it would have taken last year to get in. So should be interesting. But yeah, goaltending is something that really, because we don't know. Neither one of these guys could be the future. We have other guys coming up. Some guys are ready to play when the opportunity strikes, and other guys like to fart in the wind.
All right. So speaking of farting in the wind, we just covered the goalies. We didn't really discuss, points projections and win projections and things like that before the show. So not going to put you on the spot. We can wait till after camp when the team is, really settled, even though we kind of think we know what it looks like before camp even starts. But when the roster is actually set officially, then we'll give our predictions for the season. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Okay. So Alexei Kolosov, get a couple sips of this. I mean, I can't say this guy's name anymore. I went with whiskey, by the way, for those who voted iced coffee or whiskey.
Nectar of the gods, baby.
Okay, so Kolosov. Briere had a pre-camp presser, and I don't recall who asked him the question, but whoever asked him about Kolosov right away, hats off to you. This is what Flyers fans want to know. They want to know what's going on with Kolosov, and somebody asked the tough question, and Briere, credit to him, was pretty honest and upfront with his responses. I thought, he gave the answers to the questions. How's that? Right? Like, he didn't go in depth if he wasn't asked to go in depth. Do you know does that make sense? But somebody asked him about Kolosov, and he gave his answers. He said, right now, it doesn't look like he's not in our plans, and we got to move forward with the guys that are here. I respect that. He also gave a little tidbit and said, Kolosov mentioned, right, or maybe it was his agent or it was Kolosov, either one, that he would prefer to play in the KHL if he's not playing in the NHL. And that's a little bit different from being homesick, which is what the original excuse was. Right, Jack? So right there's a little bit of dishonesty from the player that maybe I'm sure people caught, but I didn't really see too much of that on the old Twitter app. Was he lied? If he was homesick, that second part would have never been a thing. It would have stayed the same story. Instead, now it's, if I'm not playing in the NHL, I'd prefer to play KHL. And I know you have thoughts about that, so let's hear them.
Well, if I do want to throw him any kind of bone, and this is all he gets, riding the bus and doing all that stuff is the same reason why Johansson's faking an injury right now. So there is something to that. However, he signed the contract. I mean, I want to work from home. That would be great. I could see my kids. I don't have to go out in the snow and make my way to work and all that. Deal with people. It'd be great to work from home. Except for the deal I signed for my job doesn't involve any of that. So for me to turn around and demand I work from home would be pretty fucking stupid. Sorry.
Second, 2 for 2.
Yeah. Is this episode what? 2?
Might as well just make it a streak now.
Jesus Christ.
And you go 52 shows this year.
But so Vineet brings up a good point. From my understanding, the KHL is a better league. However, you have mega teams and shit teams. There is a difference. The mega teams beat up on all the shit teams for the most part. The AHL is more even keeled in that regards. But ultimately what matters is you were signed a contract with the team. You made a deal. You're getting paid. You honor the deal. I mean, do we really have to go to ethics 101 here? You honor the deal you signed. Not to mention, it goes back to when these kids were drafted. Like Cutter, for example, I was born to be a Flyer. One thing doesn't go my way. I'm no longer born to be a Flyer. Like it's these a-hole kids of today. They can just bitch and moan, and the squeaky eel gets the oil. It's ridiculous. It's why it baffles me on Twitter that so many people are quick. Now, Jim, I'm not saying this is you. I know you like to just provide the player's perspective. But there's people who are flat out like upset with Briere. Like, I understand it's bad look. What the hell was he supposed to do about this situation? Give in and just give everybody what they want? I mean, who's running the show here? The inmates in the asylum? Because that's pretty stupid. Like, it's unbelievable. The opportunity to play in the NHL and you're going to cry about this stuff. I don't want to earn it. I want it handed to me. I'm sorry, but let's be real. Kolosov, he's a decent goalie. He's done pretty well in the KHL, specifically for his age. But he ain't that good. He's not Sorokin. He's not. I can't. I'm forgetting his name right when I need to.
Shesterkin.
I had another name stuck in my head. Shesterkin. He's not anybody like that. He's not these guys. This is just what you do. You go through the organization, you earn your spot. They see what you are in person on their country and their rinks. So not that I'm saying the rinks any bigger. I know they changed that, but you bring somebody into your organization. And yes, and I brought this point up before, Vinny. The biggest obstacle somebody like Kolosov would have had, and I love that it says Kolosov. That's awesome. It was Carter Hart. And it was last season that he just got jettisoned from the team. That's your biggest roadblock by far. Everything else is just competition. They just got a head start on you. That's it. And you're going to pull this card? It's some weak shit, dude. It's so weak. And it just shows the mindset of these kids today. I understand. Oh, I live in the KHL. The KHL. You cannot get called up to the NHL if there's an injury if you're playing in the KHL. And there will be injuries. They could not find a goalie last year. We went through a season where they started 9 goalies. Like, there will be opportunity. You show up, you pay your dues, you play well, you're going to get called up. The organization wants to see you up soon anyway. They want to see what they have. It's what you do. And these kids would rather stay home where it's nice, comfy, and safe and just wait to be handed something. And that is bullshit. That is bullshit. That mentality does not belong on our team nor the NHL, but unfortunately it is what it is. And I'm glad that Briere and company have stood up and drew a hard line. And I don't care what his situation looks like, especially after he signed a deal. He can stay in Bitchville for as long as he likes. I don't care. I'm done with him because his mentality is not made for an NHL schedule.
Somebody make the Bitchville t-shirt already. Destination Bitchville. All right. So I'll provide some, I'll try to, this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to shape an argument based around this kid's perspective. I don't actually know it. I can only assume what it is based off what I've heard, and I formulated an opinion for him, right? So I want to see, my goal here is not to change any minds. It's to maybe get people to say, okay, I can see that, but it's still not the right thing, and that's fine because this is what I think. I think the Fly. I respect what they're doing, right? And so another thing before I get to the perspective thing that I try to do is somebody mentioned every bad thing that's happened in one of the comments. Let me just see if I can find it real quick. It was they lumped in Cutter, they lumped in Ellis.
Ellis.
Yeah, it was a bunch of guys.
I guess Johansson's got to be in there.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, I got it. So the Ellis, Johansson, Gauthier, Kolosov shit is really starting to piss me off. So when I see this, I don't see four guys all doing one thing. I see 4 different things happening here, right? There are 4 different situations, 4 different guys. One guy hurt a psoas muscle or whatever the hell. I never heard of that until Ryan Ellis. He's not playing hockey anymore. Ryan Johansson, something going on with torts. He's faking an injury. Doesn't want to play for the Flyers. That's fine. We're not missing anything with Ryan Johansson.
Well, hold on. Let me update that a little bit. It's not even that he didn't want to play for the Flyers. He don't want to play in the AHL.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So he doesn't want to play in the AHL. And how long's he been in the league? This was a high first round pick, right?
Yeah. I mean,
when he
started out with Columbus. I want to go back. It might have been like 2009 or something like that. It was a long time ago. He was coming up.
Yeah.
Before he was traded to Nashville. Then he was traded to get rid of him. And was he bought out? He was bought out from Nashville, wound up in Colorado, and then Colorado sends him over in this deal. I mean, we know he's a problem.
Yeah, a guy doesn't want to play in the AHL. Who can blame him at this point in his career? Would he rather retire than play in the AHL? Probably, but he's making some pretty pennies still. So this is what he's doing. He's not playing in the AHL, and the Flyers are trying to terminate his contract. So different situation from Ryan Ellis, different situation from Cutter Gauthier, and we've talked about the Gauthier situation. And now we have Alexei Kolosov, who is the only one of these four. He's not from North America, right? So right there alone, at least in my opinion, his situation is different than these four because he's not from here. He's not from North America, doesn't know anybody here, yada, yada. Things are different. He's from a different world, basically, right? Like, I don't know anybody from Russia. I don't know what goes on in Russia. I don't know how things operate in the KHL. I don't know what's pumped into these people's brains. The same way shit's pumped into ours. We all think a certain way here. They all think a certain way over there. So let me just kind of lay out my little spiel here with Kolosov. So this kid, and let me preface this where this kid where he messed up was signing the contract. Okay, so he comes over, or he signs his contract, and then the next season comes over. He gets his little cup of coffee, whatever, with the Phantoms. They said they didn't play him in games because he was off for like a month or so after the KHL season ended. They didn't want to rush him. They kind of slowly worked him in. Rumors came out that he felt isolated, that he, took a little while acclimating to the life in Allentown. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure what kind of neighborhood he lived in Russia. But if it was nice over there, I could see why it would take some acclimating or some getting used to in Allentown. And, so I think the plan for him, so somebody mentioned earlier he was signed when Carter Hart was here. Yeah, he did sign that contract, but he didn't come over until Carter Hart was off the roster, correct?
I think
that's right, right?
Matches up.
Yeah. So if Carter Hart's still here, who knows if he comes over, right? So my point is Carter Hart's gone. He comes over, and I think only days later, Ivan Fedotov is signed. And I'm not sure that was in the plans. Like, that really happened out of nowhere. Remember how surprised we were when they signed Ivan Fedotov? I got to imagine he was just as surprised, right? Like, whoa, this guy's coming over too. Okay. Like, he goes straight to the NHL. Maybe at that time, it's not as big a deal because he doesn't have a contract yet with the Flyers, right? Like, okay, we'll see how things play out. Now, over the summer, and I'm not sure how many weeks later it was, I don't recall, they signed him to a 2-year deal and toss him $6 million. Now, we all think we know why they did that, right? To facilitate some money to somebody's agent to get over Michkov. And, long story short, in this, because I don't want to focus on this part of the timeline, if losing Kolosov is what it took to get Michkov here, I'm fine with that. Okay? Like, I just want to say that, a little spiel right there. But anyways, if I'm Kolosov and I just signed my little ELC and I'm in the KHL and I come over, and while I'm in Russia, I'm being told by people that I trust, people in the KHL, whoever it is, stay in the KHL unless you're going to play in the NHL. Because, for whatever, I don't know the reasons, but this is what they're being told. And it's not just by some stranger, tapping them on the arm. This is from coaches, people he's close with, yada, yada, that he believes have the best interests in heart for him, right? So he goes home. People are telling him, hey, like, the Flyers signed another goalie. Like, where are you going to be playing next year? Are you going to be playing in the AHL? Kolosov or Fedotov just went straight to the NHL. He didn't have to play any games for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, right? All of a sudden, we start hearing he's homesick, doesn't want to play. We're not sure he's coming back. Didn't show up for dev camp. All these rumors start coming out, right? So for me, I think, and I'm sure there's some jealousy and stuff with the Fedotov thing coming in, but I think he was really influenced back home, and I'm not sure how they do things over there. I'm not saying they're better or worse than here, but I'm sure there was a lot of pressure that, to stay and play in the KHL, in the pro league, then go to another country and play in their minor league. And this keeps coming up. And I got to tell you, if I'm Kolosov, what that guy went through means nothing to me. That's his own life. He went through that.
Got better numbers though.
Yeah, but not by much.
Silver medal, KHL championship. Those are big deals.
So I did go and look at the numbers, and Fedotov's numbers, while slightly better, are not great.
But they won. He won when it counted.
Somebody compared his situation, Fedotov's situation, to Shesterkin and Sorokin's. They're on another stratosphere compared to these two guys.
No, I definitely agree there.
Yeah. So it's like let's leave Sorokin in.
But to me, Fedotov should have nothing to do with it. We knew that they were trying to get Fedotov over here for a while, and you're telling me these guys who were drafted into the NHL, who do nothing but play hockey, are completely oblivious to this shit. He's in Russia or Belarus. I hear he got pissed off about that. They should have more insight on what's going on, Fedotov, if you're following the organization that drafted you. So that to think that they're completely oblivious is ridiculous to me. And I think a lot of the players, and this kind of goes back to Cutter a little bit, and what could be known as the Cutter effect, these players will do and say anything that they have to get money out of the organization or get drafted. And let's be real, Cutter's born to be a Flyer, going 5th overall. That holds teams are automatically, no matter how you are going to hold you in high regard. So you're going to say everything you could imagine will be drafted as high as you can. When Kolosov entered the draft, did he not know he was going to be playing in the United States at some point? He entered the draft willingly. Nobody put a gun to his head and said, you're going to go into the NHL. They did that. And if you're going in the 3rd round, you're not guaranteed. You're not going to go, okay, you're going to play in Russia, and then you're going to go straight to the NHL. What? That doesn't happen. There's times it does happen, but that's the minority. The majority, and these are the people advising him. They're all stupid. They're very stupid. Wow, I almost got us canceled with 2 words. And I stopped myself.
So they're doing it selfishly. They're not necessarily looking out for the kid. They want him to stay and play in their league. You know what I mean? They're not doing it for his benefit.
Coach. It's like a college coach in the NCAA. I brought that up in our group chat. It's like guys trying to keep their quarterbacks and don't go to the NFL draft yet. You need more to learn. The guy's going to go, he's projected to go top 5, if not number 1. No, stay. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because on the same side, they're benching guys like Michkov and Demidov and putting them lower in the lineup because they're not going to be part of our team. They're going to the United States. So they don't care about you. So if you know this stuff because you grew up in hockey, you're good enough to probably play in the NHL, you got to be privy to this information. You had to have seen it firsthand with guys you watched up growing. You got to assume he's a fan of the NHL, if not his own KHL league, and know that they do this with these teams. They're probably not giving you the best advice. You can't, you said it, Jim, these kids are stupid, and maybe it's the case, but what conversations took place with the Flyers that did they tell him, oh, you're going to play in the NHL right away? I put money on it. There's no way they told him that. And to automatically assume that is just utterly ridiculous. Whatever happened to proving your shit? And what kills me is if he just wasn't such a bitch and just came over and played, I guarantee you he'd play in the NHL this year. I don't know how many games, but he would play. They could not be waiting to bring him up and give him even if both guys stayed healthy and he had to wait to the end of the year and they had some games to play with, they'd have just got him in just to see. He would have played in the NHL. He'd have been that much closer to getting to the NHL. He signed a goddamn contract, which a lot of people are saying means Butka, which is ridiculous. Come on. This is open and shut. He's an asshole. Treat him like an asshole. Is that a Russian
word that you just used, Jack?
I don't know. It was a combination of something I wanted to say and something Russian. It's BS, man. And I cannot believe that. And he did it with Cutter, too. He did what's best for him. It's bullshit, dude. You honor a contract. You honor what you said you told the team you would do. It's video recorded, half the shit that was said. And it's amazing. They just let him get away with it. Just let him get away with everything, which is why I'm glad that Briere is putting his foot down and say, no, either you play for us or you don't play. All right. And we'll see the KHL can void the contract and pull the goofy shit that they want to play. Let them do it. Whatever. Because you're either playing here or you're out. Okay, so figure it out because this is bullshit. We've danced around your shit for long enough. It's time to grow up, get on a plane, have an opportunity that millions of kids grow up, don't even have a sniff at and you're right there on the doorstep, and you're going to bitch. Give me a break. These kids don't belong in the NHL, and they certainly don't belong in Philadelphia. So if he wants to play that game, I can understand a certain mindset. I think some of what you said is even true. At the end of the day, what I just said should trump all that shit. You should be chomping at the bit to get over here, even just to show the organization at training camp or development camp, like, hey, I'm totally part of this. I want in. Tell me what I got to do to get here faster, not pull back, bitch and moan and say, give me what I want or else, because that's horseshit.
Asphalt Cowboy said congratulations in there, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
And Dan said Cutter and Kolosov are just misunderstood, which nobody really understands Kolosov because he speaks Russian. So it's true, actually.
Dan, silly goose, Dan.
Sean C, fantastic rant, Jack.
I didn't stutter that much. It was pretty good. I meant every word.
I didn't hear any stutters, and you even got some Russian in there. Bobka or Boobka?
I don't know. We'll find out. I'll look it up later.
If we have any Russian viewers, maybe you guys can translate that for us. But yeah, end of the day, I respect what the Flyers are doing. I have a question, though. Are there different ways to deal with different situations? Or should we just kind of put everything under one? All these 4 things are similar. We should deal with them all the same way.
No, I think there's definitely different ways. And to that point, I don't think many prospects get offered to have like their girlfriend flown in and offered housing and we'll do this and we'll do that for an AHL guy, which usually can lead to some locker room issues, but it's the AHL, so I guess it can't be that bad. But like they have been over backwards to try to make it work. He flat out pulled the homesick shit, which is probably I'll give him some credit. There's probably some truth to that. But this NHL stuff is like, dude, are you serious? Are you serious? Like 3rd round NHL pick, plays in the KHL, does pretty decently. That's it. I'm in the NHL. That's it. What? Are you serious? Like, it's sickening. It's irritating, and it's the wave of the future. Remember, I said that shit. I'm telling you now, anybody who can pull this shit, you're going to see more and more players stop pulling the shit. You think it was just Cutter? We saw McGurty. We're seeing Kolosov. I'm sure there's Kevin Hayes did it. Jimmy Vesey did it. Like there's these more and more and more. It's going to be They're going to start any leverage they have. They're going to start swinging it around, and it's going to be an issue. And I'm just praying to God the NHL gets on top of it. Not a whole lot you can do with the Russia. That is what it is. But I hope they can do what they can control because it is some bullshit.
Yeah, and you're right. It is. It is bullshit. I mean, especially if you sign the contract. Like no one's forcing you to sign this contract to make thousands of dollars. You know, with a professional hockey team.
It's not an internship. You're not coming over here to get paid nothing. No, you're still getting paid pretty well for how old you are, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I guess an alternate scenario for this. Obviously, the Flyers should be playing some hardball. Excuse me.
Uh-oh.
But if he's not going to be playing for the Flyers anyways, why not just toll the contract and let him re-sign with the Russian team?
I don't know where I heard it, but I heard that they're like, and so what if he does this again next year? Just toll it again, give him what he wants again. You know, at that point, it becomes a precedent. It's kind of a precedent at that point. And then it's like, where's Zavragan at that point? Where's Bjornsson at that point? Who looked good in both rookie games? He looked good. I can't think of a goal where he like got beat. Like it was a 2-on-1 or a stupid deflection or a nice pass. He looked good in the rookie game. Like these guys are just going to pass him and you're losing your prospect anyway. Oh, it sucks to lose a prospect in a rebuild. Well, he doesn't want to come play here. What are you going to do? Just wait, push all your plans back for one guy who might be something? We are talking about the goaltending position. It's the hardest one to gauge. So it's like just get over here. Grow up. You're 22 years old. You signed the contract. Honor it. Enough of this bullshit. Honor the deal. Stop crying and come over here. And you'll be in the NHL so much sooner than you think. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I guess my perspective is like if because a lot of people are now saying that he's not that good and like he's just he's average. He's
not that he's bad.
Well, he's a fine goalie. So my point is, who the hell cares if he stays in Russia as long as he's under your if he ever wants to play in the NHL again, it'll be with the Flyers.
Well,
Who cares if he's playing in Russia?
it's
And
a
you can just
precedent.
keep developing the pipeline behind them.
Because what if you did have that Sorokin guy come on? What if Zavragan looks like that guy? And now you set a precedent
That's
of
fine.
giving these guys whatever they want. Now he doesn't want to come over. And he doesn't want to come over. And he doesn't want to come over. Now he's 26 years old and he's still not over here. Now he's like, I think I'm gonna terminate the contract, or my contract's up, or something like that. I'm gonna wait it out. He just either never comes over or he winds up with another team because you didn't set a precedent. You pretty much give in to whatever they want.
This sucks, but this is, I think, the risk. And this is the risk with drafting and signing Russian players. Like this was the fear.
There's
right?
always going to
Like,
be risk, yeah.
And this is so I don't think Flyers fans really ever bought into it with Michkov because he kind of picked the Flyers. But this is what everybody around the NHL and at the draft was kind of thinking, like, oh, what if he's kept over there? What if he's convinced to stay? This was what that was, right? But thank God he's here. The Flyers made that happen. They made it happen to where they could get him over here. And luckily enough, he wanted to be over here. And also, let's not forget, we love Michkov because he picked us. He also, gave the little FU to 6 teams in front of us. He picked where he wanted to play.
Well, definitely Arizona, but yeah.
Well, why didn't he want to play for Montreal?
I don't think he told them no.
But do you know what I'm saying? No, like he could have been drafted by any one of those teams.
Yeah, I think that's where the Russian factor came in, which goes back to your original point, which is true. These guys
he
can tell
picked where he wanted to play. We love him because he picked us.
He definitely made it known that he was going to Philly. I will say that. But
right. But let's say I forget who was behind us. Let's say it was that he only wanted to play for them.
It was Washington.
Let's say he wanted to follow in Ovechkin's shoes and he only wanted to play for Washington. Could you imagine what we'd be saying about Michkov right now?
But that's a different situation in the sense that he should have went number 2 overall. He should have went number 2 overall. He has at least. We would have been hitting him with the Cutter entitlement bullshit, but at least he has the skill to make those claims. It's like, geez,
I get it. Yeah, I mean, entitlement's entitlement though. Now he picked where he wanted to play. Never stepped foot in an NHL rink.
It's the way of the future. And back then, the Russian factor was huge. Like we didn't know what was going on with the world. Excuse me, we're Ukraine and everything, and Russia saying the hockey league's breaking rules left and right, saying whatever, off on goal. So it's just like. You didn't know. There was a lot more mystery back then. If it was still like that this year, Demidov probably would have went later in the draft, but it's changed. So it's a little bit different. That's why Michkov should have went number 2 overall. The reason he fell where he did was, yes, he was never going to a team like Arizona, but also the Russian factor in getting him over here was probably pretty big as well. I guess the Flyers felt they have a scout over there who's pretty in tune, and I think they thought they had a great chance. And because they never tanked, and never had a top pick, this was their best opportunity to get a superstar. And so far, we'll see what he does in the NHL, but so far it's panned out. So they had to almost roll the dice in a way. And Michkov could have kissed every symbol he wanted of the Flyers, but if the country steps in and says, you're not going, like that was more of a factor than it was Michkov, to be honest with you.
So just, interesting stuff. And I think, at least for the majority of our fanhood, the Flyers kind of stayed away from Russian guys, at least drafting them anyways. I can think of a few like Zherdev, maybe Tertizhny. He was Russian, right? I don't remember.
He was a 6th round pick. Schneider was never ever since the Russian. Yeah. And Zherdev, he was a Rangers pick. We got him later. That's because of Schneider. They were never, and probably Clark too, because of all the, the Red Army and all that in the 70s. They just were never big on Russians.
So this is kind of a newer thing for us to experience, the difficulty in, getting these guys over. I mean, whether we want to really admit this or not, but it was difficult for Fedotov to get him over here, right? Like they drafted him in 2015. It's 9 years later, and he's playing 7th round pick. 7th round pick. Yeah. I mean, I think he came up through minor leagues in Russia and played in the KHL for 4 or 5 years before he ended up coming over. But I mean, it wasn't easy to get him here. And then they made him go to serve in the army or whatever. So it's not easy. And I think we're, I don't know if we're paying attention or not, but it's a thing. It's a real thing. Kaprizov took forever to come over to play for Minnesota. I think he came over when he was 24, 25 years old, something like that.
I hope we make more draft picks like that because again, he was like a 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, that I'm fine. If you know they're not coming over, you want to stash them and see what you have later, by all means. But Kolosov was clearly in the plans, and the team had set it up to him. You're in the plans. Like, here's Fedotov. We don't know what we have in him. He's going to be 30 by the time our team's ready to rock, if not older. You could be the future. It's not about getting to the NHL as soon as possible. It's about you being in the NHL, being the guy for as long as possible. And the fact that, like, they couldn't, I don't know, make that make sense to him is baffling to me. It should have nothing to do with Fedotov. It should have nothing to do with him. Like, come on. They got to be more in tune than we are. Like, this is silly. And
if I was Kolosov, I would probably use that if I could. Like,
I would look. If I was bitching about something, I would use everything I can.
I would use it
because I'm Kolosov, I'm a bitch, so I'm going to use every bitch factor I can think of. It doesn't make sense, but I would still use it.
You're telling me KHL guys don't go straight to the NHL? There's 2 of them on your friggin' team right now. You got Michkov and Fedotov.
So
but it doesn't work for me like that.
Let me tell you a story. So I heard this from The Undertaker on one of his podcasts. He had a little issue with CM Punk getting dressed up to go on the bus. It's like, yo, you're getting a little heat with the boys. You're dressing up. The new mandates we dress up. The little Cena doesn't dress up. You know what The Undertaker said? He said, "You're not Cena." So Kolosov, you're not Michkov. You're not. You have 7th rounders pulling shit like this. Like, oh, I want to play for this team at this time. Give me dude, you're opening a fucking Pandora's box you do not want to open. Set a precedent. I'm telling you, these players will just pick. There'll be no more draft. I mean, I want to go. I'm just going to be free agency of rookies. That's the way we're going with this shit. Put a precedent on it. Do it. Otherwise, forget the draft. Forget draft picks. Forget the way teams are built. It's going to be a fucking free-for-all. Sorry. Like it was but when the original 6 teams started back in the 40s and everybody played for the Canadians. I'm telling you.
But if you're him, you don't see Igor Zamula. You don't see
Zamula played for the Phantoms for years.
You don't see Zamula, Fedotov, Michkov, all Russians playing for the Flyers, and here you are, the only one stuck in the AHL.
What? You cannot put Zamula in that sentence. He played in the AHL.
No, but he's Russian. I'm just saying he's Russian. He paid his
dues.
I'm not. No, not in that sense. Like he's missing out. Like he should be, hanging out with his Russian buddies, but instead he's hanging out in Allentown or he's riding the bus to, wherever the hell, Springfield or whatever for a game.
So his language barrier propels him into the NHL?
No, I'm saying, that's like where some isolation comes in. You feel like you're missing out. Like you should be with those guys kind of thing. And then another point I wanted to make with the Fedotov thing. This is a goalie in the Flyers organization that went literally from KHL to NHL and signed for $6 million. We know why he did it. We think.
I'm sure Kolosov does too.
But he can make that work in his favor, though, right? And he can go, you just signed this guy for $6 million. He didn't do dick for you guys, and you're sending me to the AHL.
It would be it would be a bad faith argument, but he would probably still make it. Yeah, he'd be like, "Yeah, we're not stupid. We think we know why we did that. By the way, he had better numbers than you. He won a championship. He brought his country a silver medal. You have any of that on your resume? No. Okay, that's what he's also 20 years. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Hey, look, I don't know. This is all me just assuming,
And here's the thing, Jim. I think he does have the mindset that you have laid out. I am just telling you it's bullshit.
You signed the contract, do the right thing and honor the contract. I'm just trying to, hey, this is what's potentially happening. I don't know how far Russia is, but in a land far, far away, he's being told to stay there. And then when you look to see what's back over here, and it's like, not that appealing to me, It's
been done. It's been done. Going on. Our ancestors came over to this land, and they had not a pot to piss in, and they made it work. This guy's going to be treated like rose petals everywhere he walks, and I can't do it.
Warming the bench for Callie P. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they want that guy gone so bad. Oh, come on.
So I saw Anthony mention this a few times. Kolosov has a better chance to play and start for the Flyers now than when he signed his contract with Hart on the roster. Yeah, so we did bring that up. So he signed his contract when Hart was on the roster, but made sure not to come over until Hart was off the roster.
But
Which
if you signed for 3 years, did he have inside information on Hart being like?
Well, he comes over still when he wants.
I think the Flyers had a plan to put him in the AHL. This is what you do. You reach a certain threshold, and it's like, okay, let's bring you over. We don't know we have an Ersson. Fedotov wasn't signed yet. They hadn't drafted other goalies. They had like a plan.
Right.
And, once Hart was off the roster and they draft 2 other goalies,
right,
anybody with a brain in their head are like, well, I should probably get over and get myself in the Flyers organization as fast as possible to put myself as high on their depth chart before everybody passes me. Because then I'm just what? They told my contract. I never get to go over. I'm 30 years old before I finally get out of that contract and go play for somebody else. That seems pretty stupid.
Mike is done. Sean C says Kolosov for Christmas. See, I still think there's a chance he comes over at some point.
And I'll change my tune. I will. Just get over here.
The thing is, I don't think he'll be here for camp.
No. He's pulling up Brett Favre. He's got to skip camp.
I think something happens down the road, or even like next year, they can still bring him over. This is what, and somebody said it in the chat too. Like, I don't think that's a bad plan. Just keep tolling it. Let him do his thing in the KHL. And when you want to come over, you come over. And if there's a spot for you still, we'll see where we can fit you in.
That blows my mind, though. Like, if there's a spot now, basically. And it's like,
right, but the situation has to change. Obviously, it's not right.
If you play good, then you're good. And they're going to get hurt. They're going to want to see you anyway. You need to be there for the opportunity. The opportunity is there. Even if nobody gets hurt, he's going to get an opportunity. May just not be as many. But we see how these guys get hurt. Fedotov's never played in an NHL season. He's going to need a break. He could definitely get hurt. We saw what Ersson went through last year. They're not calling up Peterson. Like, it's literally you. You're the person they're gonna look to. They can't wait. They're almost gonna be excited if somebody gets hurt. Like they will. Oh my God! It's like you cannot be this stupid. Like, come on! Like, I don't. I'm just gonna repeat myself more. I can't believe it. It's the quality of some of the athletes now, and people just, and that's, I think what irks me is, it's one thing if that guy's that way and we can all say, wow, that's really weird, that sucks. But now people like give them, like, pump their tires. I'm like, don't do that. Then more people are going to be like this. I mean, it's going to change the way that teams are built. And luckily it's Russia, so you can't always control what's going on over in Russia anyway. It's not like Qatar where that's just bullshit. I'm afraid of drafting any USA player. Probably one of the main reasons Boyum's not a Flyer. And I hate it. I just hate it. I hate those who have, because I have in my job now, you come in as a entry-level employee. You don't have benefits. You don't have anything. And you work a lot of shitty hours. Well, these a-holes are like demanding all sorts of shit, and they haven't paid any dues. Like, you have to earn that shit. You can't just come in and get what guys who worked here 15 years get. It's bullshit. You know, we don't even know if you're any good. We don't know if you're good at the job. You know, oh, you want to get paid this? Well, you might suck. Like, you might not represent the brand at all. But then you're giving credence to these guys who come in with their hand out already. Dude, screw it. That makes me so mad. Do not draft anybody like that. Please, if you could sniff that shit out and move on, you'll be fine. God, I can't stand that shit.
Yeah. I just think still, I mean, and then we can move on here. I just still don't understand why it would be a bad plan to, okay, we'll toll your contract. But the key is, if there is a spot for you, like, there might not be a spot. Like, there's a spot for you now, but while you're in Russia, things continue to, like, the world doesn't revolve around you in Russia. Like, the Flyers,
are you sure he feels that way?
The Flyers continue on, and we drafted guys behind you. You know, like, things can change. So, and if things change to where you don't have a spot, we still own your rights. You know, so if things kind of don't look right here, you'll never play in the NHL again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that's why I hope the Flyers are playing hardball there. You got to think other organizations are looking at this, like, especially when you have a lot of older hockey guys running these teams. They got to be like, just shaking your, like, seriously? You have an opportunity of a lifetime and you're spitting in the face because you didn't get it your way? That blows my mind. Some of these guys, Briere, one of them, scratch and claw to make the NHL. And you're gonna look at the opportunity like that? You're going to balk at the opportunity because it wasn't on your terms? Get out of here, man. Give me a break.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Russians, because we're just about an hour into this episode, you had the opportunity to watch the Flyers rookies in person on Friday night in Allentown. Lovely, lovely Allentown. And gotta tell you, man, very impressed with Michkov and Jett Luchanko. Two players that looked, worlds above anybody else on the Flyers and even on the Rangers. Very different from last year's Rookie Series game where it was, kind of just blah. Michkov and Luchanko were on another level, and you noticed it almost instantly, which I thought was great. So let's talk Michkov a little bit, Jack. And first thing that really stood out to me, he's physical. I saw him in an elevator after the game on Friday night. And I just want to preface, everything with this. 5'11". Michkov, I thought, was significantly shorter than me. Maybe, let's say 5'9". But he's built like a beast. So definitely smaller than maybe what we're being told. But what I noticed first and foremost was this guy is physical. And he welcomes he engages in the physicality and the physical stuff. He doesn't just wait for guys to hit him. And in this sense, he kind of reminded me as Forsberg a little bit. You remember when guys would come check him and he would get him with the back check kind of thing before they could hit him. Michkov kind of does that. He separates himself from defensemen. He checks them and then calls for the puck, which I like because he did that more than once. And so there were plays in the corners. He wasn't afraid to get dirty in the corners. He was shielding off guys 5 and 6 inches taller than him. I forget the guy's first name, but his last name was Mancini. 6'4" he was listed as. And this was my play of the game for Michkov. You guys might remember it as the play where he flipped the puck over the goal, I think to Luchanko. Before that, he was shielding this guy off for at least 3 to 5 seconds. And the guy was just like hulking over top of him. And it looked like he was toying with him. Now, I know this is other rookies. It's going to be a little bit different than the NHL. But just to possess those skills, it looked like he was daring him to take the puck from him. Like he knew he couldn't do it. He was toying with him almost. Like he didn't have to do what he was doing. But he wanted to show everybody, look at this guy. He's hanging all over me. And he's not touching this puck. And then later on in the shift, the Flyers, I think, ended up with a scoring chance. But the physicalness is, I didn't really notice that watching tape of him in the KHL, but that was one thing I noticed here and live in person. The other thing was he's always looking to score. Always. Like that's what he is born to do. That's why he's on the ice. He's looking to score and create goals. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The third thing that I noticed that I'm not sure. So do you remember when he came over and we kind of heard he's maybe not a team guy? So I don't know if those rumors are going to be true, but the vibe and the aura that I got from him was people are going to have to adjust to him. He's learning and he's adjusting to life in the States, but his teammates are going to have to adjust to him is the vibe that I got. Like he knows he's top dog. He knows he's the best player on the ice and that he will be the best. He knows his job. I think he's going to be, I don't know. Was Ovechkin like this when he first came into the league where he just he was there to play hockey, and you needed to follow what he does, that kind of thing. Like if guys aren't training like him and taking hockey as serious as he am, I think that might be an issue for him. That's the vibe that I got. So all good things. I see Micah commenting in the chat. Maybe I thought I was at least a head taller than him, and maybe I'm taller than I think, Micah. Maybe I'm 6 foot. I don't know, but he was significantly shorter than I was. I thought, anyways. So I went with, I was in the elevator with Travis and I'm like, Trav, I'm not making this up, right? He was significantly smaller than us, right? And Trav is 6'2". So I thought that was interesting because he's, listed a little taller. But yeah, so that was for Michkov. Did you have I know you had a busy weekend, Jack. You had something important going on over there. Did you have a chance to watch any of the games?
Yeah, I watched both actually. The first rookie game was my favorite rookie game of all time. Not like I watch a ton. They've only been recently broadcast to us. I can't tell you how many years, but it was ridiculous. Like I was jumping out of my seat for that game. That was a friggin' fun game, especially a third period on. Let's not forget they friggin' tied the game with 14 seconds left. How the Rangers didn't score in that empty net, I still don't understand. I still don't understand that. But they tied a game, and then they have a great overtime. The shootout was a little bit of a letdown, mainly because they lost and Michkov didn't score. But when I look at individual efforts, and it's very hard to point out one player is like, I'm disappointed. Excuse me. I feel like they were phenomenal. And Michkov, he showed you why he's going to be so good. Even on that 5-on-3 play where he scored that goal, the power play. It's true. You said Travis is 6'2", but Travis is 6'2".
Yeah.
But yeah, so he had that 5-on-3 power play goal. That wasn't as easy as he made it look. And the fact that he made that little play with running out of time and space and very little space to begin with made it look easy and pulled it off. I feel like we've had flyers in the past try that shit and just not even come close. And he made it count. But also, and this is coming from me, Jim, I expected Michkov to be good. I didn't know what to expect from Luchanko.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. He looks like he belonged next to Michkov. I was really, really impressed with Luchanko. I'm hoping that he really makes it difficult during camp, maybe even gets a little bit of a tryout and makes it difficult. Ultimately, they still send him back. But I was really happy with Luchanko. He was all over the ice, but offense, defense, he was playing with Michkov. He was speedster. I think his face-offs were even good. He just impressed me the most because obviously my expectations for him weren't as high as a Michkov, but he was really good. Very excited for that because that's a position of need. Even if he's not your eventual number 1C, he's going to be a damn good center with this team. And the fact that he can keep up with Michkov is awesome. I think Bjornsson played great. I know he gave up some goals, but nothing that I was like, he's going to want that one back. I didn't see one goal where he's like, he probably wants that one back. Not one. I think he got hung out to dry a few times. Unlucky. Rangers had a guy on their team who was pretty good. He had 2 goals in the first game, a goal in the second.
Guy's 6'7".
Yeah, the Rangers are the land of giants.
Yeah. Farm boys.
We already talked about Hunter McDonald, his physicality. You brought up Spencer Gill, had a nice assist. I got
to tell you, this was a guy that we didn't know much about, Spencer Gill. I was impressed with Spencer Gill. I didn't watch the second game, but the first game, this kid has poise, Jack. This guy, and I almost hate saying it because the Flyers, I feel like, have so many of these guys. There's second pair potential with Spencer Gill. And I know it was a second round pick, but let's be honest, it was a weaker draft. Spencer Gill could be a solid second pair guy one day. He's long, rangy, very poised, calm with the puck, knows what he's going to be doing before he gets it. Even when he has it, he knows what he's doing. He'll bait in defenders to, get him to think he's going to go one way, but the whole time he knows he's going the other. Very poised. I know he wasn't physical before they drafted, but he wasn't afraid to get mixed up around goal and behind the net in the dirty spots. On Friday night, Spencer Gill could be a guy that we might want to pay attention to coming up.
I mean, we liked the pick at the time. We were told he was a little bit of a second round steal. We actually helped get that pick by trading back and taking Luchanko. That was the other second round pick we used to move up and grab him. He took a shot on net knowing it was going to be deflected, and it worked out perfectly. Every part of his game looked strong. Mind you, I understand it's a rookie game. It's not against veterans, but still, it's exactly what you want to see in a game like this. Massimo Rizzo, first game, goal, assist.
Iron goal, yeah.
His game, yeah, exactly. He looked good. He played in the second game. He looked pretty decent in the second game. Andre looked pretty good. Bonk looked pretty good. Some of the other guys like Sultra, the huge guy. I'm not gonna go too crazy about some of these guys I don't see ever really making it, but even Zayd Wisdom had a nice play in the the second game, who I've pretty much written off. Denoye had some plays. He was moving out there. He was looking like he wanted to regain that I could make the team out of camp poise he had last year. That's the way he was playing that game. It's very tough for me to pick out somebody from either game, say you didn't have a good game. Like I'm sure there's somebody, but like for me, I saw a lot of good things. They may have lost in overtime and won in overtime, which was awesome, but they played well in both games for sure.
Yeah. Yep. There was a lot of guys that gave you some, at least some tape to watch, or, a lot of guys like a Spencer Gill, or there's even and I saw his dad up in the box. I knew he looked familiar, but I couldn't put the name to the face, and it was Eric Bolton. It was so Sawyer Bolton is his son. The Flyers signed him from the London Knights in the season. He's going straight to the Phantoms. This guy is strictly, a bottom six, probably a fourth line guy, crasher and banger, and he was doing that right out of the gate on Friday night. Like he put 2 Rangers on their ass. It was pretty impressive. So Sawyer Bolton's a guy, probably end up being a fan favorite. Vinny, we saw the Anaheim. They don't have a problem having too many young D. You can turn that into trade chips. Yeah. Maybe Flyers find their own Cutter Gauthier. They had a full 5-minute power play on in the second game. You could tell.
Yeah, that was rough.
Totally missed Michkov on that. And so we were
that is the one negative from both games, was that 5-minute power play. I forget what the call was for. They immediately gave up a goal on a breakaway to that. You mentioned Enstrom was the guy for the Rangers who was looking real good. They gave up another breakaway too, but the save was made. It was like, what is happening? Like, oh my God. Other than that, they look pretty good as a whole. But I do remember that 5-minute power play. It was just like, what the hell are they doing out there? But no, at the end of the day, it was still a solid game.
Yeah, I was impressed with what I saw from their power play Friday night, especially with the short time that they got to practice and be together. Andre, Michkov, Luchanko, those 3 guys together were fun. For me, Andre, you could see him setting things up back there, scanning the ice. He just looks like he's in charge. He has that kind of aura, which I guess is the buzzword these days. Like a Chemo Timonen in light. If I had to compare him to somebody, he's just under control, man. And Chemo wasn't one of the biggest guys, but he always kind of, what's this? Teddy. Sixers move into Center City. Do the Flyers stay at the center? Yes.
They better stay. I don't know what the hell the Sixers are doing.
Maybe the Phantoms come back. Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Teddy.
I'd be all for that. That'd be great.
Maybe the Phantoms take the Sixers' place. That's a pretty solid trade.
I used to go to Phantoms games all the time. Now I got to take a plane, a bus, and a boat to get to the game.
Let me tell you, it took me 3 hours to get there on Friday. There was like a forest fire or something. We had to make a little bathroom stop on the way there too. So
Jesus.
3-hour car ride it took to get out to an hour and a half it took to get home. So hey, if they came a little closer to home, we would not hate that. So it's a possibility.
Thank you, Teddy.
Yeah, thanks, Teddy. That was awesome. I appreciate that. So yeah, there was a lot of good things, but Emile Andre. I hope he really turns out. And you know what, Jack? If things stay the way they're going to stay with the Flyers defense core, maybe Andre is the guy that ends up getting flipped in a package or something. You know what I mean?
If it's a good package, I would be a pill to swallow, but I would swallow it for sure.
I feel like he's going to be knocking on the door. So it's like, what do we do here? Like they're not going to get the same thing for, like, you can't trade Zamula now, right? Because he's ball and chain from Michkov. No one's going to take on Ristolainen at that contract. You got Eric Johnson. You got Hunter McDonald in the yearbook already, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Andre is the odd man out, unfortunately.
It was a shame not to see Denver Barkey. From my understanding, busy. I believe he was battling mono. That's what I understand. He didn't practice, therefore he wasn't going to play. Excuse me. So we'll see. Now this is something I definitely agree with. Yes, they were the coolest jerseys in the league, and Plex was like Batman on skates. And because of stupid parents, they had to get rid of the best minor league mascot of all time. Sorry, it's a side note.
No, I'm on board with Flex. Okay. Hour and 15 in. Was there anybody that? Let's hope not.
Oh, jeez.
I did see Denver Barkey though.
Was he at the kid's birthday
I'll say
party?
it off. He is small. He looks like a child, but seemed like a nice guy. I can confirm that Bonk is over 6 foot tall. You know, for those wondering, he was in the elevator with Michkov, which I thought was cool that he was running around with Bonk instead of, you know, arm in arm with Zamula. You know, so that was cool. Anyways, hour and 15 in. Jack just had a kid a couple nights ago. I'm sure he's beat. So why don't we Boost Wholesale? I'm not sure I've seen Boost Wholesale in here.
It looks
before.
familiar to me. I think he's
Is
been in
it?
here 1 or 2 times.
Boost, if you've been in here, bark twice.
Damn
All-time
right,
rant.
baby. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Vinny with a congrats. Thanks, Vinny.
Appreciate that.
Took the elevator with him last year, and he was with Matteo Matt.
Boom.
Thanks, Boost. All right. So we did see you in here before. Okay. So let's wrap this episode up. It's hockey season, boys and girls. Camp starts tomorrow. The skate.
Let's go.
Practices are free to all fans who would like to attend. They are being held in Voorhees at the Flyers Training Center. So
When's the first practice?
the first actual practice, I guess, will be Friday.
Well, I'm on maternity leave for like 2 months, so I might take my son.
You could watch him skate tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, tomorrow they do like the, you know, all the skating bullshit.
You got to send. I got to get the schedule from you because
I'll send it
I could never go because of work, but now we're going. I'm getting my kid in early. Not the one I just had, the other one. We're gonna get him in early. He's 3.5. We're going to our first game this year, so I got to get him in. Got to get him in early.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, boys and girls. One last time, give us a subscribe and a follow. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on YouTube. Set alerts for weekly shows and favorite hwhockey.net. Check it out for all of our latest episodes and articles. As always, thank you for hanging out. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Congratulations, Jack. Papa number 2. Great stuff.
2. We're done, baby. We're done. Thank you so much, everybody. Chat was awesome tonight.
Yep. Good night, guys.